Hey there, welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at what happened with the market, man. Big rally today. The market put its rally cap on. Let's see what's going on. All right. So we see today that, if we look at the SPY, it's up 3% today. And you can see right here on the chart that this is a kind of a, decent big move. You can see here that you're in this situation where it started breaking down, on volume. It was breaking down below to new lows. And therefore, we were in a situation where they really needed to put the market rally on. So it looks like somewhere they got the market to rally there. So, this type of thing for sure, it's a very kind of you just kind of wonder if they the plunge protection team got in there. Now the interesting thing about it is part of the reason behind, well, look at, okay, you see that the interest rates are coming off on the 10-year, and then the big one you see is that, hey, the dollar really kind of crashed today. So you can kind of see that with this kind of stuff here, look at the volume on the UUP. Now that's just an ETF that follows it, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. So you have a really big move in the dollar today, and so you kind of wonder if someone kind of put a little bit of PPT in there. So basically, the plunge protection team, one of the things that you could do is you could try to just like sell off the dollar, dump some, have the dollar go down a little bit. And then that just in and of itself would certainly help the market. And it would help your rates, move down a little bit as well. So that's kind of interesting there. The other thing that, we saw today was Tesla getting beat up. Now it's interesting. They didn't really get beat up too much today, but there's talk about, hey, look, he looks like he's going to buy Twitter now. So I mean, it's not a surprise. Some of the legal analysis out there was like, look, he's in the court, the district that he's going into, to fight his case is like, look, they're just not gonna, he had an agreement, and it's going to be very tough for him to prevent, to just get out of the agreement. So it does not surprise me at all. So today we had a lot of, actually, was actually, up today, but a lot of volume and just a doji today. The real big move was yesterday. And what happened there is they really didn't make their sales. The deliveries of cars was a little below than expected. And, this is sort of the issue for Tesla. It's like, hey, look, they are an expensive car. We're going into recession. We are in recession. And therefore, to think that they're going to be immune to this recession is just not realistic. It's just not realistic at all. Now, look at our Bitcoin got a relief rally here. Bitcoin, I look at this thing and I'm just waiting for the day that it's really going to crack all this support in here and just crack it decisively and go down. I would suspect that it would go down to somewhere around 10K. And but it keeps hanging on. So someone somewhere is keeps putting money in, or maybe there's some structural thing or something going on, but it just will not break. So I went to fill up my car this weekend. I was really surprised at how much gas prices were going up. Seemed to be going up. They had gone back down, but I paid almost $7 a gallon. And I'm in like San Diego. So the issue with San Diego is our prices are always higher than the rest of California, because see, the national gas average is up right now. And that's kind of interesting and annoying. It's interesting too, because the issue is that, oil is on the downslide right now. It's been going down. Sure, we've had a tick up over the last few days, but in general, the bigger picture, the price of oil is going down. So I'm not sure why gas prices are going up. Now, one chart that I was looking at that was kind of interesting is EIA produces a chart on the amount of crude oil in the SPR, which is the Strategic Oil Reserve. All right. And one of the things that's happening here, if you notice on this chart, so this was set up in the 70s, basically 70s. We didn't have one before there, and we've been filling it up into the 80s. And the whole purpose of this thing is to get this up to a level and basically have this reserve of oil, just because what happened in the 70s, if you remember, there was the gas price. We had the gas lines and all that because there was the oil embargo. So basically, you had the war with Israel and the Middle Eastern states. A bunch of them decided to like stop selling oil to the U.S. in response to that. If you were a kid in those days or remember that, I remember I remember, I believe, what was called the second oil shock. The first one was, they just, there was a shortage of gas and we had huge gas lines. And then the one that I remember was the second one. So when the second one occurred, which was a few years later or something, I don't remember all the details. I was a kid, but I remember my dad had bought these diesel cars because he's like, well, screw this. I'm going to get diesel, right? And diesel actually was more available at the time. So it sort of worked. And GM, of course, was making horrible diesel cars, just terrible cars. My poor dad with that thing. But the point was, yeah, we had the gas lines and we had the even odd plate. So basically, I was in Connecticut, and it's like, hey, man, you could only fill up gas on certain days of the week. It'd be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday for even plates. The other days would be for odd ending plates. And so the point was, in response to all that, one of the things that was done, besides the fact that we went off the dollar, created the petrol reserve. The petrodollar was literally created in the 70s in response to all this stuff. But in addition, they set up the petroleum reserve, and this is basically it's this storage of oil so that we have it available. So the point is that it had gotten up to 750,000. This is really 750 million barrels of oil that we have in reserve. Now, here's one thing that I want you to note is over here, this is a deliberate move by the Biden administration to try to keep gas prices down. And they've really accelerated this in the last few months. They're really just draining this thing dry. I mean, this is, if you look at this chart, when do you ever see this much of a drop off in the SPR? You never see it. I mean, you see a little dip here, but for a very short time. You see a little dip here for a short time, but this is like a sustained over many months. So I wanted to take a look at this and just try to figure out, well, how much oil do we have left in the SPR? So let's go look. All right, so here we are. What I did is basically they let you download an Excel of it. So we have the same chart in blue, the same chart that we had there. And, I've just plotted it. But what I did is I took the change, the month over month change. And what you see here is this red line is the month over month change. What you can see is, like we saw before, certain periods of time where you had something happened and we decided to pull from the SPR. And you can see these little spikes, but they're very short term. They're very short term. And I'm sorry, and red is on the right. Okay, so just be clear. So these are negative numbers. The zero line is right about here. So you can have like, okay, not much change, there's no change here. We drew from it, and then not much change. But over here, you can see that there's been this consistent effort over here, and this is now accelerated. Okay, so we are getting into a really interesting situation. We are sucking oil out of the SPR faster than we ever have. Now, the good thing about downloading the spreadsheet is we can look over here at the actual data. Look at this. Over here in 2021 and 2022, you can see that there's this deliberate action in March to really crank it up. They're now like 12 million, 18 million, 24 million, 29 million, 25 million drawdowns from the SPR. So what I did is I took the average. So on a monthly basis, we are sucking down 22 million barrels out of the SPR. Given the current value of the SPR, we have less than 2 years left on the SPR. So this is a very interesting thing. So we have something where the administration has decided that they're trying to get that inflation down, trying to get the gas prices down. And what are they really, really doing is they're basically trying to set up for the midterm elections. They're trying to get the inflation down. So they're making a strategic decision that they're going to suck all the oil out of the SPR. But this is fraught with danger. This is really dangerous because what you're looking at here is you got less than 2 years left. Now, of course, they can stop at any time, but stopping isn't really sufficient. If you bring this down to some level, you're really going to want to have to bring it back up. So this strategic petroleum reserve is not, this isn't for kidding around. This is like serious stuff. Like we're in a situation where we're in a war that we didn't pick, right? Not like all the Middle East wars that we went into. We went into those because we felt like going into them for whatever reasons. And this is for like when you're really the stuff hits the fan and you need that oil. All this green energy stuff is sort of this wishful thinking, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the day, you need oil. So I found that very interesting. They're really sucking that thing dry. I hope they stop sometime soon. Because remember, I only have data for July. Okay. We're August, September, October. We're 3 months from now, right? So I don't know what has happened in the last 3 months. So I assume we've already sucked down 3 more months like this. Um, we are running out of time on that SPR. So I would like to think that hopefully our administration, our officials aren't that dumb that would really run this down to a serious low, but we're getting there. I mean, you're getting to a point on this chart where if you look at the blue line, you're getting back to where we were when we were filling it in 1985. That's where we're back to. So we've blown below the levels that we held it at. In other words, there was a strategic decision to hold approximately this level at about 600 million, between 500 and 600 million barrels. And then there was a decision made later to increase that to 700 million barrels, right? So these are conscious decisions. They held within that range. Now we're blowing below that range. So this is fraught with peril. I hope they stop doing this. And given that the gas prices have been shooting up lately, it's not working. It's not having the effect that you want. All right. Well, I think that's it for this one. Bye.